Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Daily Objective. And with everything happening in the world, we know what you really want to hear about right now: pets. Now, you might think I'm being a little tongue in cheek when I say that, but when you think about it, is there anything more important to so many people than pets? Now, I personally, all I have is plants, which, trust me, took enough commitment. I was like, I don't know, can I really take care of these things? But if you see me getting close to the camera, it's because it keeps getting blurry. But back to the topic of plants and pets, it just seems like the biggest commitment. You get an animal, you have to walk it. I mean, a dog like several times a day, and cats don't need to be walked, but they still need to be fed and cleaned, and they're not as cool as dogs, no offense. And I'm just like, what do you do when you travel? What do you do if you just can't walk it all 10 times a day, 3 times a day, whatever it is? Like, what if you can't walk yourself? Like, you're hurt, you're injured. So many things. If I decide to travel, you would think I would just get over it, get a dog, and figure it out later. Maybe our co-host here can help me work this out, because in my mind, I'm like, yo, maybe someday if I have like a wife and kids, and there's a handful of us that can delegate, divide the labor necessary, then maybe we'll get a dog. But then, knowing me, I'll probably be still even more neurotic. Like now it's like, kids asking me for a dog. I'm like, a dog? You're lucky we have enough food for you. I'm going to be John Witherspoon when I grow up, I've decided. Anyway, enough with my world famous monologues with the intro. Let's welcome, first from Chicago, getting ready for a long, snowy winter of walking his dog through the miserable winter, through the miserable streets while they're on fire. It's Jonathan Honig.
Thank you, Rucka. Thank you. And then let me ask you, how old ballpark are you? You're in your 30s, or
yeah,
late 20s or
30, 33. Absolutely.
You're 30. And I have to tell you, I felt at that point the same way you feel about dogs, about animals. What a responsibility they are. And they are a responsibility, but there's such an interesting connection between objectivism and animals, cats and dogs in particular. So I don't know if you want to introduce Mark, or would you?
I thought maybe this episode we'll just let Mark hang out and watch.
Well,
I'll
give my quick spiel in the sense that there's been a lot written about the connection between objectivism and pets. I'll refer you to the letters of Ayn Rand in Dr. Peikoff's podcast, in a lot of Harry Binswanger's recollections. And for the record, Ayn Rand had cats. She had a lot of cats. She's actually quoted as saying, I'm quoting now, "One can either have unscratched furniture or cats. I choose to have cats." So it was a choice for her. She chose to have them. She had a few cats, one of which was named Frisco. And I have a photo there. Now, I'm pretty sure this is Frisco, but this is one of Ayn Rand's cats. And here's another a photo of one of Ayn Rand's cats.
Clearly, they're wrestling her to the ground, taking advantage of her in both cases. Frisco's got side control on her shoulder there. I know this. This is a cat tactic. My cat does it.
I love these photos because, Rand is often portrayed and kind of put off and presented, and especially in this BBC documentary that I know the Ayn Rand Center UK has been covering, as this totally unfeeling, cold woman who, and, you see really private, beautiful love there for a moment there. And that wasn't it for Rand and cats. She actually wrote a letter to Cat Fancy magazine here. This is from 1966. I hope you guys can see this. She says, you ask if I own cats or simply enjoy them, or both. The answer is both. I love cats in general, and she owns 2 in particular. So I
take issue with her. I take issue with her language, Jonathan. You don't own cats. Cats own you.
Well, that's definitely true. And to Rucka's point, well, there's certainly a commitment. Ayn Rand is also. I looked for the quote, but I know she's also quoted as saying that a pet is in effect a substitute friend. I mean, this is a living creature. There's been a lot of pet adoption during COVID, but this is. Here's another quote I pulled. This is from the Letters of Ayn Rand, Michael Berliner's book, and someone had sent Rand a cat book, and she said, "Thank you for the book. I hope that I will see you in the not too distant future, and that I will have a chance to see pictures. We'll have a chance to see pictures of my cat." So just some interesting connection there of Ayn Rand and animals and Ayn Rand cats. And, whenever we start talking about animals, it's always like pets have rights, right? Animals have rights. So one thing we know on the record is that Ayn Rand and objectivism is against that, but the fact that we love these animals, and Mark, I want to obviously bring you into this as well. The fact that we love animals and care about them, we'll talk about why, and I want to hear your story as well. But it doesn't mean that they have rights. It doesn't mean that they are, as a human would. But Rand loved her cat, and I love my dog, and I know you feel the same way about yours.
Indeed, Rucka, I was going to say the great thing about plants is they don't jump on your head at 3 o'clock in the morning and wake you up like my monster and inspiration for Lucifer, Cody, did this morning at 3 o'clock in the morning because he was hungry and he just wanted me to feed him. So yeah, I mean, there's you can still not believe that animal rights are a real thing and still respect sentient beings and believe that it is appropriate to treat sentient beings with love and respect. So that means maybe even walking through a field of wildflowers and not picking one just because you have respect for a living thing. Not hunting or trapping animals unless you have to survive because you have respect for the fact that they feel, and then adopting pets and loving them and caring for them as if they're your kids because they're living beings with emotions and very deep emotions, and they understand certain connections and experience the world. So you owe them respect and the dignity of a living creature.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll just say I'm on the record as my most watched YouTube video is saying that I have the right to smash my dog's head against the wall. I went up against Justice Janine Pirro. This is over a decade ago now, but I guess you'd say that's a lifeboat situation. I've never smashed the dog's head about. I always loved my dogs, but we see animals as property, but we can love our property. We can feel very passionate about our property, and it can have a very important value to us as well.
I think that's changing. I think that's changing morally and legally in our society. I think not to use some cliche pop philosophy terms, but I think that moral circle is widening to include sentient beings. They're changing laws in many states so that animals are considered part of your family, not property. And this was inspired by the fact that when a police raid someone's house, what they automatically do to decrease threats is shoot the family dog, kill it. And they did this so often that it caused public protests in many states. So now they consider the family dog a part of the family as opposed to a piece of property that can be disposed of. So I agree with that. I think they are part of your family.
Well, Rucka, could you imagine yourself loving a dog the way that Mark and I love our dogs?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I do love dogs. I mean, I've many times been told by dog owners, "Oh, my dog barks at everyone, but my dog just walks over to you." Like speaking to me, dogs and I vibe. Dogs, it's been said, they have a great sense of who's a good and bad person, and obviously, the fact they are cool with me should tell you everything you need to know. It's the commitment, I think, that always kind of gets at me, even though like on paper, I'm at home a lot. I've been working from home forever. It's now with the pandemic, there's never been a better time to have a dog. And also it keeps me busy, which is, it's great for creativity to have like rituals, to have something that you need to get to in the next few hours or something like that. There's really no legitimate reason not to, other than neuroses, I guess I'll say loosely, very loosely. Now, I'm not a psychiatrist any more than maybe Mark is a legal scholar. I think a lot of these questions are going to need to be answered, like the rights of pets, or in other words, the rights of a pet owner to not have their pet destroyed by the SWAT team because they got a call about something that
I don't think it's not neuroses, Rucka. You're just realistic in knowing that this is a real responsibility. Getting a pet is not like getting a new purse or a video game console. This is a living creature. That's a commitment. And the same thing with objectivism and children. People say, "Oh, objectivists are so selfish." Why would they have children? But for people who have children, objectivists who have children, it's not a sacrifice for them. And Mark, I know I didn't know you named Lucifer, your inspiration for Lucifer was your dog, but when you got to take your dog out of the middle, your cat,
my cat, not my dog. My dog is an angel.
It's not a sacrifice. They're not sacrifices though for you. I mean, they're hassles sometimes, but you get a value out of them. You love your animals.
I love watching Frankie's expression when he has to go to the bathroom. We have to go out for a walk, and we're in some place like Vancouver and it's raining, and he looks outside, sees the rain, and turns back around and runs inside because he doesn't want to get wet. Look, I mean, I think especially today, this is a really powerful show for people because with the COVID isolation, depression is probably skyrocketing. And there's nothing better for the depression than getting outdoors and doing things. And a dog forces you to do that. A dog forces you to embrace life. I had a friend who was clinically depressed, and his dog was the thing that made him go for walks, made him get out in the world and feel the sunshine on his face. And it's no coincidence that 2 years after his dog passed away, he committed suicide.
I mean, hopefully not everyone. I've heard it's very, very painful to say the least when a pet dies. But let's hope not everyone commits suicide. But yeah, and it could be a great way to meet people as well. You go to the dog park or just walking down the street. You know how dogs love to start sniffing one another and all that, whatever it is that they're into, and that gives you an opportunity to introduce yourself to your neighbor.
Well, Dr. Peikoff, who is a famous dog lover, he's very kind of well known as being a dog lover. He was asked on his podcast the question a number of years ago, and I'm quoting the question now, quote, Ayn Rand said that love is our response to our highest values and can be nothing else. So can it ever be appropriate for a human to feel emotions of love towards an animal? So, if you're sharing, can you share values with a dog? Can you have that, that real love? And if you'll indulge me, I'll quote Dr. Peikoff and share some photos of my dog, Bailey. Dr. Peikoff said that, it is possible to love an animal. And he says very specifically, it's not like PETA, who just say, oh, every animal. I would justify that. You have to love a specific animal. He says that they are irreplaceable. Nothing else can fill its place. I'll let Dr. Peikoff's words stand for themselves. But he says, now you say love is supposed to be common values. What are the common values you share with a dog? And this is a quote I love of Dr. Peikoff's. He says, we're both striving to achieve life on our own level. We're both living it, putting up with the problems, and trying to achieve what we want. Now, on that basis, I wouldn't love a human being, but with animals, a pet is a substitute friend. And that's something that Ayn Rand had talked about, pet being a substitute friend. So I just love that idea. He says that you have to choose the animal. You just can't love any animal. It's something that's really a value to you. So you can feel love for a specific animal, he says. It's maybe not as intense as a person, but it can qualify as love. It did for Dr. Peikoff. It certainly has for me. This is a great observation. I'll quickly say that I love. He says, you know what? A dog doesn't hold really a grudge towards you. So if you're playing with your dog and you got to go do something else, he says, the dog rolls over and says, okay, no hard feelings. A lot of humans don't do that. So that's a real value of the dog. And certainly Bailey didn't do that. So Dr. Peikoff says,
one of the great things I like about dogs is they're always saying hello. They never say goodbye. They always say hello. And that's something to admire. I love that.
Yeah. And let me say for the audience, I think what we're doing here is we're conceptualizing this, what it is that we see, this phenomenon of the relationship between us and animals. So we're trying to express it, to understand it. We're conceptualizing it. It's not like we're saying, here are the abstract reasons for you to love animals, and then you apply it to life. No, I mean, you first feel a certain way around animals, and you might already have pets that you love. And we're trying to understand that. That's kind of how I look at a lot of this philosophical talk and quoting Rand and Peikoff and all of that. Let me ask you guys, what do you do when you travel? Like, just spontaneously, you're like, oh, something came up. Where do you have a friend? Do you call? Do you call a dog sitter? Do you drop it off somewhere?
Well,
Also, sorry, if you guys could get your dogs or cats in the shot, that would be great. I know cats are difficult to negotiate with, but
Well,
we'd love to see them.
Frankie is sleeping right next to me. I don't know if you could see.
Oh, love it. Love it.
He's under my Canada Goose jacket. He likes caves. He's a dachshund, so he likes tight spots. So I put my Canada Goose jacket over him, and he just lays his head on my lap, and he accompanies me everywhere. I'm very codependent on Frankie, the poor little bastard. I feel bad for him that I'm so codependent on him and anthropomorphize him. But when we go away, if it's far away, then he goes to a babysitter's house, and that person has a kid, and Frankie loves the kid, and so does Johnny. And there's another dog there that's very nice. But I've been taking them with me everywhere. So when I went up north to Vancouver to film, the dogs came with me, and then somebody would come by and watch the cat every day and play with and feed the cat. Sometimes the whole troop comes with me, cats and dogs in the car, and that's what's going to happen with my next gig. We're traveling to Pennsylvania together, and then yeah.
So I mean, it sounds like money helps, like throwing money, having someone take care of your dog while you're working could help a lot.
No, it doesn't help. But I mean, you have to have, honestly, I think what I spend on my dogs a year is basically the equivalent of a mid to low level sports car a year. I mean, I'm not shitting you. I spend a lot of, so you asked Rucka what I do when I travel. My dogs go to a place called the Pooch Hotel. I mean, what a world we live in of such wealth. My dog goes to the Pooch Hotel. He stays in the presidential suite. I have a video hookup. I have Grubhub delivered to the dog. So the dog's getting hamburgers for dinner. The dog gets picked up by not a limousine, but a dog shuttle and taken to swim class at another location. I mean, my dogs live an amazing life. And that's
the same thing in Vancouver. We have a place called the Rex Dog Hotel that is amazing, and Frankie and Johnny would get the presidential suite. Yeah, it's great. And they have they're put in a small dog area that has tunnels and fountains and toys to play with.
Look at the look on Rucka's face. He's like,
I mean, I think it is beautiful. It is wonderful that we have such luxuries, but not everyone can afford that. And even people who can afford it don't want to spend money on dog swimming lessons or gourmet burgers for dinner. So like, what might you do if you weren't going to send your dog to the Beverly Hilton when you're away?
Well, I think it's ultimately about choosing values. And if Ayn Rand chose cats, I've chosen a dog, I've chosen to spoil it. And certainly because of the abundance of wealth, you don't have to have the presidential suite. You don't have to, there's ways to have a dog that doesn't cost, tens of thousands of dollars a year, certainly. But you have to really want it. I think that's the whole point. Is the dog of value? Well, is it a value to you? Is it, for me, earlier in my life, I know it wasn't. It certainly is now a little bit later in my life. And, that might be kind of ultimately the issue here is, Rand found them a value. I know I find them a value, and I know I spoil mine pretty rotten, but it brings me a lot of pleasure and brings me a lot of love.
Yeah, Rucka, just really quickly, just so you know, when we first got animals, I was against it for the very same reasons. We just didn't have the lifestyle that could accommodate them. And then I fell in love, and I've been intoxicated ever since. So.
Yeah, I guess again, not everyone has the a possibility, like the ability to send their dog to a fancy place. So there's like more of a working class version of these dog park places. You drop off your dog where they take care of the dog when you're away, etc.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can pay $20 or $30 a night to have your dog. Absolutely, and it's very. I mean, that's the wonderful. I mean, look, would you rather be living in North Korea right now or living as a pet in America? I mean, it's kind of a crude question, but pets in America have wonderful abundance. It's an interesting idea because there's no government pet mandated pet regulation. My pet has better health insurance than I do, cheaper, more effective, better healthcare than I do. So, I mean, maybe we can use the way that we care for pets as a model for the way we can care for humans. The less regulation, the more abundance of wealth of services available to all of us.
Yeah, and the health food stores that are growing up specifically around pets are great too. So pets have food. My cat eats food that you could put on your own plate and chow down.
I don't think we've convinced Rucka, though. He seems a little skeptical.
No, I mean, look, I mean, my plan is always, make a bunch of money and then have kids and never worry about money. But same with sort of animals on a smaller scale. Make money,
Yes.
but it's like, but if you always kick that can down the road, there's never quote enough money. There's always going to be like this insatiable need for more, I guess. So
No, bro,
maybe
you're
like
young. There's time. There's time.
well, there's time, but I mean, it's a lot of people have pets their whole lives, so I guess in one respect, I might be missing out on a sort of lifestyle that includes animals, includes a pet.
You are,
Yeah.
but it's a choice.
It is a choice. It is a choice, and for now, I do have plans. I'm enjoying watching them grow. Some of them have died along the way. These succulents, some of them have died tragically, which should tell you that you should
A
never.
succulent? You let
Oh,
a
yeah.
succulent die?
Yeah, go ahead and still.
Doesn't that require the least amount of care?
Definitely
Yeah,
no
but
pets for you,
still,
then,
they
sorry.
can be underwatered, overwatered. You look up, why is my succulent turning red? You're either overwatering it or underwatering it. Too much sun or not enough. Oh, perfect. Got it now. I mean, not everything always works out. It can lay the guilt down on me, but I'm trying at least. But some of them are growing beautifully, and I'll take all the credit for that. But yeah, I feel a sense of maturity. Like I'm watching these plants grow. I am responsible for these living things. I'm watering them. And moving them around too. You move them inside, outside, around the house.
You play music for them?
Not yet, but
Okay.
unless they're
right.
hearing me in the studio over here, that might be what's actually helping them grow.
I think it's awesome. I think it's you choose them, you're aware of them, it's a value to you, you can take them with you, and it's all about there is no prescription for this. It's about finding values at different times in your life. So here's to your plants. Let's see some screenshots of your plants in the future.
Yeah. Oh, that's coming. Absolutely. And as another point to celebrate what capitalism is able to bring, the prosperity, to have you telling me, oh, when I was 33 like you, I also didn't feel ready to have a pet yet. I mean, the fact we're able to take such our leisurely time growing up is obviously a symbol of prosperity. Now, if you're a female who wants to have kids, you got to pay attention to the clock a little bit more than if you're a man. But in both cases, there's never been a better time to be alive, and there's never been a more leisurely time to grow up. So God bless us all.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
and any final thoughts from you guys?
Mark?
Jonathan, you want to go first?
Sure. Well, I'll share, if I could quickly, there'll be two more shots of my, Dr. Peikoff quoting here. He says he feels a special communication, doesn't he, from God, but between the animal and yourself. I know I've felt that. Ayn Rand said a pet is a substitute friend. Doesn't mean it doesn't have its own very unique, important values. And Dr. Peikoff ends this, and again, I refer you to his podcast where he talks about animals. He says, there's nothing I wouldn't do to keep my dog healthy and happy, nothing. And I feel the same way. It's a value to me, and I'm sure to many, many of our viewers. So thank you for indulging.
If there's a particular breed of dog out there that doesn't shed, doesn't scratch the furniture, like just doesn't do anything wrong, completely behaves, and never uses my home as his bathroom. If there's a particular type of dog out there that is born fully trained and is absolutely agreeable and cooperative, let us know in the comments. And I think that's all the time we have today. Thank you for joining us. We want to know about your pets. There we go, interacting with the audience. Thank you, everyone in the chat room, for bringing us into your life. See, we can be at each other's throats about who won the stupid election, or we can bond over animals and furry friends. Until next time, this has been the Daily Objective. Goodbye.